Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to get into a video I haven't done in a long while, which I'm going to call a bargain hunting video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham and I go by Infidel1258, but you can just call me 12. I cover Splinterlands regularly because this game has changed my life and I think it might change yours. Part of how it's done so over the past is by giving me this fun and entertaining element that keeps me distracted and gives me something to do, but then also that has this reward functionality or opportunity within it. That opportunity can come from playing the game, but it also can come from the game within the game, which is the tokenomics, managing your assets, stretching the value you get out of them. And above all else, the idea here is that we recognize that there's a distinction between value and price. If any of that sounds interesting and you want to come do some shopping with me, then I invite you to stick around today. My name is Dwayne Cunningham. Let's get into it. I will tell you that I've got $33 here in my account. And I'm hoping that I can spend it on assets that make sense. I'm even willing to maybe stretch that by maybe selling some other assets to get it, 50 or 100 bucks kind of range. So we'll see where we go with this. Why I wanted to turn on the video and get started with you today is because, not just because I'm shopping, but because I actually see some worthwhile conversations around how one would understand value versus price in Splinterlands. And we've talked about this lots over the past, but more recently it's been harder because card prices have been just absolutely flooring. And Rebellion is this different and sort of unique moment because of a lot of reasons. One, because it's a different and smaller set. Two, because it's got mage wagons, battle wagons, and those are creating a certain utility for these cards. And but then maybe you might argue that 3 or 2B is that the idea that the mage wagons or the battle wagons are going to end. And so does that mean that these cards are going to go down in value more, or does it mean that they're going to hold value because this pack is this set or edition is going to cycle out of circulation and there won't be any more packs being printed or sold or created or opened? I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I'm inclined to say they'll be more stable than prior packs like Chaos Legion. And with that in mind, I'm happy to hold them long term. Now, I don't mean days, weeks, months. I mean years. I'm happy to hold them long term. And then the second piece of why I would want to go shopping in this moment is I still am going to be able to enjoy some of the conflicts, some of the battle wagons. And the third piece is that there are cards in here I actually want from a utility standpoint, from a gameplay standpoint. And so this is not intended to be an investment video. I am talking about like a long part of this picture for me is a long-term investment, but also the bigger picture, or maybe the primary concern, is just the daily enjoyment of what these are going to do for me. I recently bought an Endless Ape. I really like this card. I really like it. It's got 12 hit points at the max with the scavenge, which can be crazy if you use it in the right context with the right buffs, etc. Especially now with different summoners being able to add on the green team, you can put Void on that thing. Wow. Or, with different summoners, you're going to be able to introduce tactics or later in the game, items and spells. When you have what might be 20, 25 hit points because of scavenge, that could be crazy. And so I like it. And so I'm shopping partly out of just joy, but also long-term. I do have strength. I've strength of confidence in what Rebellion will be. So that's where I come to the market. And then as I started looking around before I was recording, I noticed some cards that are just pretty reasonable. I had access to some of the Soulbound summoners. To give you a little bit more background, I had some of the I had some of the Rebellion summoners, and in regular foil, and the legendary ones in particular. I had Lorcus 3 copies, which I've listed on the marketplace. Everyone says Lorcus is amazing. It's the best. It's, super powerful. Yeah, I don't have a max Lorcus, so I can't play it. I'm not going to play a level 2 Lorcus where at the level of the game that I enjoy. I play gold at minimum, diamond, mostly champion often. And so I'm not going to play a silver level Lorcus. So for that reason, this is useless to me. Hear me. It's useless to me. Even if it's an exceptional card, it can still be useless to me because the leveling is wrong. And you say, well, why don't you just buy, 8 more? That would be cool if I could do that. But that would be, if we said $17.50 per or even $16 per, we're talking over $100. And so $100 more to get one new card into my game, or I can reallocate some assets, selling some coveted summoners that everybody wants, and move them into other cards that thicken out, diversify my options within the game. Again, gameplay first. That's where I'm thinking. I'm thinking enjoyment. I'm thinking maximal impact on my enjoyment while I play. But long term, having multiple copies of cards that are relatively rare, and I believe that's accurate with respect to Rebellion, that adjective, relatively rare, I think it's a good thing. So I sell coveted assets to buy overlooked assets. I'm seeking value. And I know many will think you should never sell the summoners. They're going to go up in value. They might be hundreds of dollars. Sure, that's true. But I did without Kitty for a while. I could do without Lorcus for a while. At some point in the future, I will probably buy Lorcus, as I will probably buy Kitty back again. But you see, I like to sell assets when they are coveted and chase after ones that are not. And that's where I'm going. And then, as I said earlier, it's about the enjoyment of the game. But I also talked about the Mage Wagons. Now, Mage Wagons are wrapping up, but we do still have more summoners to come. And I think it's 2 more summoners. And as a result, any new and increase in the collection power I can harness through this flipping process will translate to more points, which means more airdrops. And so that's a piece of this conversation too. So all that said, I came into the marketplace and I started looking up Rebellion. I sold $33 worth of summoners. I think it was 2. I think I sold 2 yesterday, 2 Cryptics maybe. I can't remember, to be honest. But see, again, with Cryptic and with Lorcus, no, I sold two Tofus for about 17 bucks, I think. So I got 2 through the airdrop, immediately sold them. It's a great card. I want that card. Same as Cryptic, same as Lorcus. I want those cards. But sell the covet, chase after the overlooked. That's what we're talking about. So I sold 2 of those. I'm trying to sell 3 of those, and I think I sold 1 or 2 of those at some point recently. If I can't play it at the max level, I don't want it. And so with that value, let's go in and I thought, I got 33 bucks right now, 47,000 DEC. What could we do with that? And I know that the commons are being really, even the common gold foils give you good collection power. And we're talking like 60 cents for Chaos Orc. I already have 2 max copies of Chaos Orc. I'm not going to buy any more of that. Even though I'm okay with having assets long term, and I believe that these Rebellion will probably carry value in a way that's different than maybe, for instance, Chaos Legion. I don't want to just get 20 different copies of a max Chaos Orc. But if I can get most of the Rebellion set maxed out, I would love that. I think most of it is strong and most of it is powerful. I don't believe I have Chaos Lackey, but see, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the marketplace to see what the cheapest cards are, in gold foil in particular, because those will give me more collection power. They'll give me the bonuses within the rank experience when I win, because gold foil gives you bonuses. And then again, if I can complement my existing deck, let's go. Now I could also look at reg foil, and maybe I should too, to be honest, because some of the cards that are going to be reg foil cheap are not going to be gold foil cheap. So the Druge is 67 cents per on the gold foil, and it's 4 cents per on the reg. So, but which one's cheaper? If I go bulk buy, and if you want to really get deep into this process, you really should kind of look at your different options. You look at, see, it's $18 for a max level Druge of a reg foil, and if I come back to gold foil, what's the cost? Just because it's 67 cents doesn't mean it's more or less. There's not 38 copies. If I go 38, see, I'm only buying 16 BCX, and that's $12. So 16 BCX puts me right there at level 7. So if I want gold foil, I cannot have a max, and I'm paying a lot more, to be honest. So that's a card that on gold foil is off the tables. Yak is a card I want, and is relatively cheap at 69 cents per. And I do think this will be a valuable card to have for Little League, for attacks, melee from attacks in any position. I like it in Equalizer because the heal, because the Armor Strike. Armor Strike is really nice because you can pump that up, and even though it does relatively little damage, I like this card for 4 mana. And since it's one of the cheaper cards, I'm into it. Now, I happen to have some of that card already. I have 5 BCX, so I would need another 33 BCX, which doesn't exist in here. But I could buy let's see, if I went 34, if I bought 33, I could get 26 BCX for 30 bucks. That's not going to be a max copy. So 26 plus 5 is 31. I don't actually need that many because I would want to land right there, I guess. So I would go 22. So I can go, it's essentially a buck of BCX to get me to level 9 because of my existing cards. That would be cool from a long-term hold. I would like to play with that. I believe in the long-term investment of a card like that. It's going to give me those points within the mage wagons or the battle wagons. I keep saying mage wagons. And then finally, it's going to give me that joy of play in the moment, in the now, which is great with me. But what about the Spirayak Reg foil? Look at that right there. I can get 18 bucks for a max copy. That's kind of interesting because it's substantially less than like the next closest affordable card. So this is like on my maybe list. I would rather have gold foil because of the bonuses. I'd rather have a gold foil because of the long-term appreciation, the greater scarcity, etc. But, you know, I want to stretch my money. I want to get the most value for the least price. I think gold foil is the play that I want to do because it's minimum number of mage wagons as well, right? You can maximize the impact on your existing mage wagons. I think what I want to do is I want to grab the ones that are cheap. Like, look, there's 7 right here. There's 7 copies of this card, which I do want. And at the 69-cent range, and then it jumps up. So I'm going to go ahead and buy those right now before somebody else does. That's 10,000 DC. Actually, no, I'm going to just put them in the shopping cart because there's other cards in here I want to look at too. And if you bulk buy with peak monsters, you get some PKM, which is not a huge consideration, but it's not nothing. Another thing that I was looking at earlier, Trickster is a card that I don't have maxed out either in gold foil, and it's a card I would like because of the close range and it's got good amount of hit points. It's a strong contender for this conversation, especially with this card here being 14 BCX and only 13 bucks, and it's like a relatively good price, but you know, it's not an amazing price. And but then there are cards in here that I wanted to point to that are maybe an amazing price. Where did it go? Check this out. Kazi Fire Mage. So the regular price or the average price for 1 BCX is $1.20. But here we go. It's 65 cents. You can get a max copy. I think I need to get that. Now it's only 2 damage output. It's got the Fury, which I'm kind of whatever about. The Scattershot dodge is interesting. It's an interesting option to have in my deck. I don't think it's a carry. I don't think it's going to change my game, but I like the acquisition of an affordable card that's going to have impact on my deck and have that long-term opportunity, plus have 5,000 CP that I can throw on a mage wagon for 25 bucks. That's in contention, like a strong contender, because per BCX at 65 cents, that's cheaper than I was going to pay with the Yak. Now the Yak I also want. So if I can get both of those, that might be where we end up buying. But the point I'm trying to make when I refer to the Kazim Fire Mage, not that it's particularly overpowered, but that the price point on a per BCX rate is worth your consideration. Again, stretching value, right? Investing, getting more for your dollar. If you like that card, if you believe in Rebellion long term, if you want Battle Wagon points, if you're okay with holding a card that might depreciate when it's circled out of Rebellion, but you're going to enjoy the play and the long-term perspective for it. If you like the gold foil and you don't need a reg, etc., and that's all my story really, then maybe this makes sense, especially because the per BCX discount is available. And cycling back on that topic to the summoners, remember I said I'm selling Lorcus, I'm selling, you know, Eternal Tofu, etc. I want those cards long term, but I'm willing to sell the 1 or 2 BCXs I have because 1, it's not good enough, and 2, I can get a per BCX discount in the future. So if it's $17 per BCX, but then it's probably $12 to get a per BCX to get a max copy, and that's going to be a big payment. But to me, that's probably worth it. If the card shoots to $100 per BCX, then maybe I get left behind. But I don't know. I'm willing to take that risk. That is part of the risk. That's part of the conversation. I'm just willing to take that risk. So right now we're thinking about those, but there's other cards like that. So if you just see that distinction on a card, like a 30 to 40 to 50% discount on the per BCX versus low BCX, that is a card I want to look at. I already have an Endless Ape. Mine's level 9, I think. But that's interesting. If you needed a level 8 gold foil or a max, that'd be pretty interesting. Goblin and a Soldier would be cool to have it maxed out. I don't have $51, but that'd be interesting. If we come over to the commons, just to the regular foils, just to make sure we're not making any rash decisions. That's the other thing too. I'm taking my time with this. And if you're interested in sort of doing this sort of bargain hunt for yourself, you want to make sure you're doing the same thing. Looking for 30 to 50% discounts on the per BCX versus low BCX, looking for cards in particular that you really want. Now, currently I'm only looking at commons, but I'd be happy to look at rares. Maybe there's some really affordable rares. If there was a really sizable distinction on a card I wanted, you know, I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna pay attention to that. I'm gonna see if it fits my budget. I'm gonna look at this. This is a card I really want. Low buy 40 cents, per BCX 20 cents. Now it's only 6 of them, but that might actually help me. That might actually really help me. I have to go check, but I'm pretty sure mine is not maxed out. He's in the white team. There he is. So I got a level 4. So 15 more would push me into that next level. Level 4 goes to level 5. Not a huge difference. 1 more armor. I'd like to get up to 6 if I could. So if I could get 35 more copies, that'd be cool. 6 is like, you know, part of that, but it's not close enough. If this was a 30 BCX, I'm buying that. But it doesn't fit my need close enough. And so even though it's a good deal or relatively a good deal, I don't need to strike on it now. Nothing grabs me particularly other on the regular foil for the rares. This is interesting. I was looking at this earlier. $1.70 per BCX versus $4 on the Torch Myrmidon. Half price on the Thanalorian Archer on the low BCX versus the high, or for the 1 BCX. So there's some pretty good, I want to call them discounts on the bulk buys, let's say. I was curious about summoners, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be much deals on the summoners, at least not yet. I am going to be looking for that, but let's focus on the Torch Myrmidon, and we might pull the trigger in the next few minutes here on those purchases we looked at earlier. Oh, Argalax too. What's your deal? See the lower than 50%, greater than 50% discount on the per BCX. So you get a max copy for $40, which is a little bit out of my price range, but I could sell some SPS or something like that if I wanted to. There's 2 other copies that are max. But then there's only 5 available cards. This is a card I do want and I don't yet have, right? See, I got a level 2 of the gold. That's not going to be playable. But again, I don't necessarily just want to buy one really cool card. I want to get multiple cards to maximize my CP, to maximize my impact on my battle wagons, plus my long-term maybe growth potential for that investment, plus, you know, giving myself 2 or 3 different options to play with is, again, increasing my playability and my joy with it. So I don't think I'm going to spend my full budget on one card like that. Even I'd have to sell something else. But Torch Myrmidon is maybe even more interesting, and it's in that same price range. Check this out, though. Slightly greater discount on the per BCX. There's only 7 of this card. There's only 1 of the max copy. I might even buy this one. It's slightly more per BCX, but it's within my budget. I don't need to sell anything else. What would 11 do for me? 11 would bring me up here to Shatter. Check this out. So why do I like this card a lot? I actually like this card a lot because Fire partners with a lot of different splinters now, with the different summoners that are available, first of all. Second of all, archery with the close range is really, it's become more helpful because archery only rule set, but also it's an off tank. It's got significant hit points. And so that becomes interesting. And then it's got flank, which means it could put in it can create a melee attacker to have reach from that second position. That might seem irrelevant in a archery only rule set, but remember that with cards like, you know, the Soulbound Drybone Raider, neutral, melee, and archery, this guy in the second position looks a lot juicier, doesn't he? I have a max Drybone Raider. So I really see a functionality for Torch Myrmidon. I really do. And this is a strong contender here. I would actually I'd like to get the discount. I'd like to have the big thing. What would we do for Torch Myrmidon if we wanted a reg foil? Let's check that out though. So $37, $38 to get a max on the Myrmidon. Regular foil, 115, $19. I think I might have to, so $20, essentially double the price, you get the gold foil. I think that's probably worth it. But the question isn't just about value. The question's also about you know, for me. Like, it's not just like objectively, would gold foil be better? Yes. But I don't have money growing on my tree. So I have to stretch my dollar wisely. And so this might make more sense. I really do think this is an impactful card, and I don't have it at all yet. Myrmidon, look, level 2. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important card. And let's look at the summoners more closely, because I want to explore my own theory a little bit closer. So if we look at the summoners from Rebellion, and we look at fire, anything that includes fire, we want reg. So of course, look at this: fire with green, fire with death. That, and then of course you can throw neutral in there, dragon in there. That's a lot of combinations for that Myrmidon to be implementing really cool flank opportunities. I think one of the best ones will be Dragbone Raider, but it's not going to be the only one. And then long term, a card like that grows. The flank ability is one of those abilities that will gain importance the more and more and more that there is better melee monsters that don't have reach. And so there will always be a growth of melee monsters that don't have reach, because the game will keep expanding the card base. And you have to understand that certain abilities will grow with the gaining of new cards. Others get worse. True Strike with Kitty, we thought, wow, it's so powerful. But that's an ability that gets worse because there's other cards that gain its ability. And do you see how that growth or that spreading of that ability makes the one summoner that provided it less and less important? And so you have to discern when you're looking at different abilities how impactful or not it will be. And does it get better or does it get worse across time? I think flank is one that gets better. I think Myrmidon should probably be in my purchase. At least I'm going to strongly consider it. If I add that guy, then where are we at price range? So we're at 51 bucks. Something's got to give. The Kazi Fire Mage is only $5 more. So here's the problem. The max level Torch Myrmidon is giving me 2,400 collection power, whereas the Kazi Fire Mage, which is more than, like, it's half price as well, is giving me 5,000. You know what? I do think this card is less impactful than that other card. At max level, it's dropping 2 magic for 4. Fury is like kind of whatever in conjunction with Scattershot, because you're not going to target the taunter because of Scattershot. Dodge is, I don't know, not particularly relevant. So I do think this card is just objectively less impactful than the other, but it's double the CP for roughly the same price. I think we say bye to the Fire Mage, because these cards are I'm going to play these cards. And again, part of my conversation is not just about what's the best CP, what's the best long-term investment, but it's a full picture of best CP, best long-term investments, diversifying my deck, giving me more options, and the best price for what I'm getting. And so I think the combination of that picture is probably this set of cards. I'm going to go ahead and lock that in. There might be other cards in here that I'd be willing to look at. I'm a little nervous about losing some of those. Let's just keep looking a little bit longer. I didn't look at epics at all. Is there any crazy discount on epic? A little bit on Toledo. Maybe on Choir, but I don't have that much money. Let's look at legendaries. Oh, I didn't look at gold foils. I wouldn't be able to afford gold foil legendaries, but I might be able to afford gold foil epics. Let's have a look. So look at that. I don't like the Great Porcupine so much, but 10 BCX per. If you had a little bit of money to come in and buy of max, that's a pretty sizable discount. That's a card I'm interested in long term, but not in the same way. Harbinger of Chaos, that's pretty interesting. Good amount of damage, Divine Shield immunity. I like that. But I don't have $100 to spend. Okay, so we're done then. I'm gonna lock in on the Spiriac and the Torch Myrmidon. That'll long term. I'm gonna enjoy those cards. Again, why would you sell summoners for single unit cards? One, the summoners were non-playable at the levels that I had. 2, I didn't have the budget to make them playable. 3, these cards give me, I now have 2 new cards that I can roll in my deck. That's going to mean new options with more opportunities to win. 4, long term, I can get those summoners. 5, 2 cards versus, 2 BCX of 1 card is probably a better long-term investment. Even if the summoners are going to be highly desirable, I think having more fuller playable cards is probably a long-term better play. You need to make that call for yourself. But the risk to me is one, the risk really is, are those summoners going to become so expensive I can't afford them later? Maybe they will, and that'll be okay with me. Because if those are becoming that expensive, I bet these cards are becoming more expensive. And I just bought a max level card that I think will impact my game, and another card that I think will impact my game. Plus, I probably like 10x'd my CP, which is going to impact the number of summoners again on the next draw. Now that process is almost over, the battle wagons, but that is a bit of the fullness of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And of course, we're gonna stake these onto the Mage Wagon. That was 2400 power, and then let's go check out that gold foil. I want to see what that was. Exactly level 7. So what's level 7 about? Does it have the heal? That'd be cool. Even if it doesn't, I'm cool with it. It doesn't have the heal, but we're getting somewhere. So with the level 7, I'm one more level away from that next damage output. Not the biggest deal. Long term, I would love it. Same with the heal. Long term, I'd love it. But I bought those from an affordable standpoint. I would like to circle back and get that gold foil Kazi for another $25, and I might before too long. I might just pull the trigger if for instance my summoners. This is where I'll leave the video, guys. I have for sale. I have 3 Lorcases and 1 Skok for sale. The Lorcases are priced, consistent with the market. If they end up liquidating, I'm circling back to buy that gold foil fire Kazi Fire Mage. It's a card that, per BCX, that price point is just juicy and exciting and interesting to me. But otherwise, I'm going to equip my conflicts and I'm going to wrap up. If you have any more questions about how I approach or why I think, I bet many of you are going to feel critical about 1, me liquidating summoners, or 2, me buying cards at this moment. And I understand, but I think if you really listen to my argument, you're hearing not just there's a thoughtfulness to what my approach. It might not be the same. It might not, the same approach might not work for you, but in my context, for my case, with my confidence of where this is going to go and my enjoyment of the game in the moment, I think that is the full picture that I hope you're seeing when you listen to me. I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks so much, guys, for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.